Let's summarize the module. And one of the first things we started out with was around patches and end of life. You must have a plan for how patch management is going to happen on those web servers. And if you're wearing the ethical hacker hat, you want to be looking at which web servers haven't received the correct patches. Because very frequently you will find web servers that are behind in the schedule of things like critical patches. In terms of end of life, this should never come as a surprise to anyone managing environments. We know well and truly in advance, many years in advance, of when an operating system or a web server is going to go into end of life. As surprising as it may sound, this very often catches people off guard, and it's a totally unnecessary problem. The answer is planning. We then moved on and had a look at unnecessary services and ports. And really, this is simple. If you don't need it, turn it off. That's all there is to it. Block it out completely. If you do need it, consider isolating it. Network segmentation. How can you keep things like RDP so that they're only accessible to the people that actually need it? And conversely, when you're wearing the ethical hacker hat, how many unnecessary services or ports can you identify from network segments that simply shouldn't have access to them? I spoke about RDP in this clip, and I spoke about WebDAV just before it. Check these things. You'll often find services and ports that are simply not needed. And finally, the sandboxing of processes. This is a really critical one, and it's a fundamental piece of modern-day web server architecture. If those environments are not properly sandboxed, the attack surface can become significantly larger, because what you're really looking for is assurance that each individual asset running on that web server can't interact with the other processes running in the same environment. So look carefully for the version of the operating system and the web server that's running, and assess whether the product is properly sandboxing the processes. So that's managing and hardening web servers. Let's now move on to the final module and take a look at other attacks against web servers.